Alright guys, back again with the F100. So in the last video you guys saw me kind of pull the rear end out and start to kind of work with it. That thing was really heavy, I almost dropped onto myself. You can check that out in the last video. But today we're gonna kind of shift gears towards the front end of the truck and start to hopefully work on the disc brake conversion that I never started. And so hopefully now, since the truck's obviously up in the air and apart, I have time to do it. But reading some of the comments in the last video, thank you for all the support on that video, by the way, but there were a couple questions, so I want to kind of answer those now. The main first one is, why am I bothering with a spool? Spools are going to break. This spool's not going to break. It's a full spool. It's not a mini spool. There are two completely different types of spools. This locks directly to the ring gear rather than just the spider gears themselves, those inner gears. It's the full spool, not a mini spool. So mini spool, yeah, I could definitely break a mini spool, but if you manage to break a full spool, it's kind of impressive, not going to lie. So yeah, that's that. The other thing is, it also does come down to price. This spool was about 150 bucks, and the actual full Eaton or Detroit like locker setup is like well over $500. So if I wanted to get a real locker, I'm 21 years old, got a lot of projects, don't want to be spending $600+ on just a locker when I can do the same thing with a spool. It will get me by for now until I can move on to the chassis, which is another big question. Where's my Crown Vic chassis? That's probably my biggest question right now. So if you guys haven't seen already, I'm already flooded with projects. I have 2 Galaxies back here, which I've still not been completed because I'm the only person working on them, which leads me into the next thing, the chassis. What's going on with it? So I still have that thing. It's not going anywhere. It's actually just sitting inside my trailer just so it doesn't get trashed. I'm not selling it, I'm not getting rid of it, but why don't I just take it apart and start working on it? Well, as a hot rodder, I don't like having a hot rod down. I have 3 that don't run right now, and I want to be able to drive something, so it makes sense for me to finish something before I take something apart. It's kind of a mentally smart thing to do. And I feel like I should be getting one of the Galaxies driving so I can at least have that to drive while my truck would be apart. So in theory, as a quick time lapse for you guys, my initial plan was, originally my white car was my parts car. It's not anymore. It's kind of more gone into a full restoration mode, but not totally as much as the red car. That red car is a full-blown build. It's completely different. So our plan really is to just get the white car done. I need to get paint. I have wheels for it. I've got to get tires for it. I got to rewire the car, do a couple things in the interior, and then the car should be done. Runs and drives fine. It just had a vapor locking issue, so I'm going to go ahead and take the tank out, flush the fuel system, and just be done with it. And then after it comes back from paint and body work, you know, pretty much this car is ready to be sold, and I will hopefully end up selling the car. So if one of you guys are interested in the car as it's fully restored, it will be available in the upcoming months. Once this car sells, we can put all the money into the red car and getting it done. Basically, the second that the red car moves under its own power and is technically movable or move aroundable, whatever word you want to use there, then we can kind of take the white truck apart and I can start doing the Crown Vic chassis conversion. Because I want you guys to realize that this is a Coyote swap, so this is a full-blown build. I'm putting a roll cage in this car. There'll be tubular members in the back with a fuel cell and a lot of crazy stuff in this car. I already have seats for it. I have electric power steering for this thing. I've got a lot of super expensive parts for this car, and I'm not just going to slap it together, but I have to have time obviously to work on this stuff. I still have school and I still have work. YouTube's not my full-time gig, unfortunately. So we're waiting for quarter panels for this car. I have the upper deck panel. Auto Metal Direct is supporting this build, so we have a lot of cool stuff coming. Once the metal work's done on this thing, we can get the cage started. So I don't want you guys just thinking I'm just slacking on this thing and I haven't been doing anything. I'm purely waiting on parts, and then I built the motor in my truck in a week and then immediately broke it. So now I'm taking all the time to finish all the stuff I've been neglecting on my F100, like the disc brake swap. But I see all your guys' comments. Don't think I forgot about the Crown Vic chassis. It's still a big part of things, but I gotta get some other cars done. Otherwise, I'm just gonna have 3 broken cars that are all apart at the same time, which is not a good idea. All right, so now that this thing is in full hovercraft mode, I can kind of go through what we're gonna be doing. So we're gonna be taking this drum brake spindle off, getting rid of it, because with a lot of horsepower, I don't want to be using manual drum brakes. I'm going to use manual disc brakes. I think it's also about time we go through all the steering stuff on this truck because it's all greasy and worn out. Radius arm bushings wouldn't be a bad idea, as well as beam bushings. My shocks are still good, so I think that's the one thing we'll keep, because I think those are pretty good. And then I think I'm going to go ahead and paint everything in here, just to kind of rattle can it real quick, just so it looks a little bit better. Some of you guys were saying, I like how you only painted half of your suspension. Yeah, that's definitely oil. That is not paint. It's all oil that's been soaked into the suspension over the years. But yeah, I'm going to go ahead and start taking this front suspension area apart. Hopefully we can get the new disc brake stuff mocked up pretty soon here. Alright, so here's what I got going on. I have a socket pressing up on the kingpin directly. The spindle is free to move. It is completely free to move. There's nothing on the actual spindle itself. All the weight on the truck is actually compressed onto that kingpin. Torched it with MEP gas, which is deemed not to be hot enough, which I figured. So I'm gonna get a real torch. And then I smashed it with a sledgehammer like 800 times and it still won't come out. So that's sick. I've done quite a few kingpins on these trucks now, considering all of my friends have them and they're all pre-runner guys. So I've done a bunch of 1-inch kingpins, you know, swaps and spindle swaps on trucks. But this has so far been the most stuck one I've dealt with, and it's on a street truck, which is ironic because all the other trucks have been jumped. I don't think I've ever jumped my truck. But to just kind of skip this whole process, what we're gonna do is I'm just gonna pull the other beam off, both the beams off with the spindles, take them to Sean's because that's where our torch and press are. And I'm just gonna torch it with a real torch and a press and just press the damn thing out because this is not working. My arm hurts and I'm tired of it. Well, seeing the beam all drooped out like that makes me think like, dang, I could build a sick pre-runner right now. I could bend those beams the other way and make this thing have some travel, but that'd be stupid. Street trucks, way better. I also could take the beams and bend them the other way for the camber issue I have, but then my wheels that are 10 inches wide will stick out like crazy and it looks stupid. I'm not gonna do that either, but I'm gonna take these beams out. Alright, so in other news, we found a free compressor, so that's freaking sick. It actually works too, which is even better. So now Sean has a better compressor than that little dinky thing right there.
I'm stoked, found it on the side of the road.
Yeah, I was driving home and I was like, hey, Sean can use that. Yeah, we have some beams that are horribly stuck. You can see I've pretty much mushroomed the top of the spindle trying to get it out. My MEP gas isn't hot enough, so we're just gonna use an actual acetylene torch and a press. So let's
light these things up.
Yeah, let's see how this works. We've done this like 900 times before, so it should work.
Ooh, crunchy.
Oh, damn it.
Who would have thought?
That's pretty. Alright, so we're now in full hovercraft mode. We've gone back to Gone in 60 Seconds. I suck. I'm gonna get reamed for that one. No, Back to the Future. We're in hovercraft mode. This thing went 88 miles an hour. Now it's on jack stands. But everything's off. It's pretty much as disassembled as I'm probably gonna make it for right now. Probably gonna paint all under here, get all this stuff all cleaned up and painted. I'm gonna make some exhaust hangers because I broke both of them. So that's what that is. So I gotta fix both of those. And then we're probably gonna paint the inside of the wheel wells, the frame area, because that looks kind of like junky. And then we're gonna do a custom color on the beams. And as you probably saw, Sean and I heated those up for 20 minutes straight with an acetylene torch and put them in a 20-ton press, maxed the press out, and my kingpin still wouldn't even move. We got it to creak like once or twice, so it might have moved like a millimeter, but those kingpins were stuck. So I opted to go this morning before work to drop them down at a machine shop, local Rick's Machine in Santee, California. Awesome group of guys, my favorite machine shop ever there, who did the motor in my truck. And they have like an 80-ton press, and they obviously do this for a living, so I just brought them down there. You know, it's probably gonna be like 50 to 100 bucks to get them pressed out. Saves me a lot of hassle and time. I'll get clean, fresh beams. I already have my spindles machined for the disc brakes, and yeah, I'll lay out what we're gonna do real quick for the disc brakes, and then we'll probably close this video out. So you can see I got the radius arms off there. You can see these bushings are absolutely trashed. It was definitely time to get new ones there. So we'll probably degrease and get these painted. We're gonna do the beams and the radius arms and probably the coils a different color, or a special specific color. And then we might do some of these like little bits and pieces just to kind of do something other than just black. Looks pretty good, minus the fact it's been really windy and my thing of brake fluid flipped over and now it's all over my driveway, so that's sick. I gotta clean that again. Pretty excited for that. There's a lot of cool stuff coming. I'm gonna do a full suspension rebuild. We have new steering, new brakes, new radius arm bushings, new beam bushings, new spool, rear end, all sorts of great stuff. So hopefully by the time when all the parts for my engine come in, we can hopefully slap this thing together and go do some burnouts. So that being said, thank you guys so much for watching today's video. If you did go on and enjoy today's video, leave a like. It really means a lot to me. Subscribe if you are new. I'll see you guys in the next video with this truck. We got a lot of cool stuff coming. See you guys later.